of Confidence Culture Conversations. And we've missed you. Hi, Coach Kirubai. How are you?
Hi, Coach Elizabeth. Yes, I missed you away for 6 weeks, and definitely we missed our viewers. And we are happy to be here today. And I'm rejoicing because you know what, Elizabeth, I'm happy to be in a cool environment.
So, for those that are joining us today, we've been off because somebody was on holiday. Somebody was having the time of her life in sunny Malaysia.
Oh,
Kirubai, how was your break?
my break was great. Going back home to Malaysia is not a holiday, Elizabeth. It's just family, family, and the
More
weather
fun.
doesn't. Sorry, the weather doesn't help. It's so hot, and it's like 40 degrees, and it's humid. But you know what? I thank God that you know what we. I mean, I'm with amongst family and just connecting with family, and I'm back in one piece, enjoying the coolness of the day and the coolness of the night.
No, that's good. That's really good to hear. And the number of times you said family, 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 family. So this was all about family. This was
Yes,
all about family.
yeah, it's family. Yeah, we we just connect and see all the people that we want to see. I have a host of relatives there, and there were a few functions where birthdays and wedding celebrations. So we get to see everyone. So that's
Oh
good.
yeah. Happy belated birthday to mom, right?
Yes. She had a nice celebration, but with that celebration, my we had a little blessing, marriage blessing for my brother.
Oh wow. So it was like a two in one.
Yeah,
Ooh.
so we he got registered in the month of January, but he said, "No, mom, I don't want to have anything." But we used mom's birthday as on the pretext of celebrating a birthday. We also had a little bit of a celebration, worship, prayer, and a little exaltation, and then we had 70 people. Not small.
Oh
we had a
wow.
so we had a nice afternoon lunch celebrating mom's birthday, and together we had a double celebration.
Oh, that's good. I'm so glad to hear that. I'm so glad to hear that.
So yeah, it's all settled, done, settled, and we are back here. Praise God for it. Coming back to the grind, as you would put it. There's so much to do.
But you know what? You came back and you brought us some beautiful weather.
Oh, I, I didn't realize that you guys were not having the sun.
What
Oh,
do you mean you didn't realize? You know what the UK is like?
but you know what? I didn't check the weather at all.
Let's just say it wasn't great. There was a lot of rain.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it wasn't the best.
Yeah, I heard there was many a storms and yeah, but you know what, well, we can say we had a couple of good days of sunshine,
Yes,
vitamin
we
D.
did. Yes, we did.
you know we
Honestly,
we sound
I'm
like,
so I'm
sorry.
so glad the sunshine showed up. It was glorious. We were out like walking, taking some nice pictures. I'm like, I'm on holiday. No, it was good. And you know what? It's funny because I think sometimes we take or we don't realize like the benefit of like the sunshine
Yeah.
and the difference that it makes, like even just to society. Like people are more chatty, they're more
Yeah.
friendly. Like sunshine makes you happy.
Yes, that's
I
right.
I know there's some people who don't like it, so let me not be insensitive, but like generally, sunshine does something for everybody, and so it's really good to see everyone's like jumping and skipping
It's a
and like
dose of dopamine, feel good factor.
there you go, and it's funny because I always say like whenever you so I went to the park on well on different days, but on Sunday, which was fairly warm, I went to the park and it was flooded with people, and it always amuses me because when I was growing up, I grew up in Uganda. We had sunshine every day. We the seasons that we know, a wet season or dry season. That's what we know. We don't know winter, we don't know autumn, spring. No, 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 no. It was hot, and it was dry season and wet season. So sunshine wasn't like the wow factor. But here, when the sun is out, it's like an announcement has gone out, and they've told everybody, quick, quick, the sun is here. Go to the park. Go to the park. So that's what it was like. But you know what? It's great to see, and we enjoy it while it's here for those of us that can enjoy it.
Yeah, yeah. We did have some rain last night, heavy downpour, I believe. Yeah,
We did. We
and then
did.
it kind of brightened up a bit, and and thank God that it is not humid. The humidity in the air that kills
Mm,
the sunshine.
wow. Well, enough about the weather
You know
and
what?
the catching
We
up.
sound like two uh, seasoned Brits who always start the conversation about the weather.
It's a conversation starter. If you're looking for an icebreaker in the UK, use the weather. Use the weather.
Oh dear.
So, we are in the month of May, and May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And actually, like what we've been talking about already, like has impact on our mental health. Kirubai, you've been away getting some time of rest and spending time with family, and that does wonders for your mental health.
Mhm.
So everything we're talking about today, like it can link back to mental health in one way or another. So, Kirubai, do you want to introduce our conversation today? Not that we haven't already started, but hey.
Yeah, I mean, it's mental health is something that cannot be an afterthought, but it is something that is so current, so evident, and it's something that is so pressing in so many people's lives.
Mm,
Inevitably, or it's a silent killer if you do not discover it.
mm,
And so we thought that we will talk about procrastination in relation to mental health.
mm,
And what is procrastination? We all, sometime or other, I mean, I'm a great procrastinator. I mean, so much of procrastination. Sometimes I think, I have to check myself. But what is procrastination? It is basically um, delayed taking a task and not acting on it, a delayed
mm.
reaction to a task because we find it unpleasant or difficult.
Wait, say that again. Just rewind, rewind.
Okay, rewind. It's the act of delaying a task that we know we should do it immediately, but finding it unpleasant, difficult, and finding always excuses not to take action. So that
Mm,
is procrastination.
wow.
So how does that relate to mental health? We have Elizabeth, who is an expert on mental health because she has done many workshops. I mean, coincidentally, this time when I went back, I kind of met someone who refuses. There is some problems in her mental well-being, but refuses to go and check it out with the doctor.
Mm,
Because as I was conversing with her, after a year, I mean, I met her and conversing with her, I see a decline. So I know there's something not right about a mental state of mind.
mm,
So, Elizabeth, you being the expert,
yeah.
and I mean, I'm not, I mean, I'm not a coach in this area, but you know what? I can understand a little bit. So I could see a real life example about this person procrastinating to go and see the doctor.
Mm.
So, Elizabeth, to you.
Wow. Do you know what? Mental health is one of those things that we don't always like to address.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like a taboo conversation, but actually, mental health affects all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as I say to people, as far as you've got this, you've got a mind, then there's a conversation of mental health that needs to happen. And for some of us, we're good at looking after our mental health. Some of us, we struggle. Some of us, we're kind of in between. We have good days, we have bad days. But it's something that we need to bring to the table more often than not. So, we're very conscious of our physical health. We exercise, we try and eat well, we look in the mirror, we're checking ourselves out, our physique. What about the state of our minds? When do we pause to check our mental health? Like, how are we doing on a scale of 1 to 10? How am I doing? And mental health, it doesn't mean that you're going mad when they say you have a mental health problem. It could literally be that you're suffering from worry and anxiety. Now, if I was to ask, like, all the people watching, like, have you ever had a time where you worried, or where you were anxious, or where fear gripped you? You probably say yes. You probably say yes. And that in itself is a situation or a moment in time where your mental health was impacted. But it's what you do to guard your mind, to protect your mental well-being. And that's what this month is about. And the theme this week is actually on movement. So we're being encouraged to move for our mental health. And moving could be taking a walk, it could be dancing, it could just movement, some sort of movement. It's good for your mental well-being. It's good for your mental health. So I don't want you to think that the mental health conversation is not for me. Oh, yes, it's for you. It's for you. It's for everybody. It's for everybody. So don't discount yourself from it. And sometimes people are shy of talking about mental health. But we need to have those conversations, because the reality is, now more than ever, we hear of so many people committing suicide.
Mm-hmm.
You look at someone, you think they're well, but you don't realize that they're going through something. There's a battle in the mind. There's a book that Joyce Meyer wrote, Battlefield of the Mind. For some people, they're battling. There's a battle going on in the mind. And unless you deal with the battle in the mind, then, the enemy can win. So there's people like last year, I think for me, the conversation of mental health came really close. Because my next door neighbor actually took her own life.
Oh, it's 1 year already.
It was
My,
it was November last year.
well, okay,
She
yes,
took her
November.
own life. And like a few weeks before that, I had some conversations with her, and I knew she was having mental health struggles. She had people around her, but it was a case of, are you willing to ask for help? And so, for anyone listening, yes, we're talking about procrastination, but we're also talking about like mental health and how procrastination can affect your mental health. So some of you might actually be having some mental health struggles, but you keep procrastinating the conversation, or you keep procrastinating the phone call that you need to make to get help.
Mm.
Something needs to change before it gets to that point where it's an extreme. Before it gets to the point where you are in hospital and you're sectioned, before it gets to the stage where you're not making sense of the things that you're saying, and people are wondering, are you okay?
You're having a breakdown, huh?
Before you get to the breakdown, there have to be some check-ins. Don't procrastinate the check-ins. Don't procrastinate time of rest when you know that your body needs to rest. There's a lot of things that can impact our mental well-being. Your day-to-day activities, your day-to-day schedules is a big one. What are you doing day to day? I think the mental health conversation became really significant during lockdown and
Mm.
just after lockdown. It still is right now, but it became more, it sort of came out into the public eye
More relevant,
a
yeah.
lot more,
Mm.
and so it's not something we should run away from. It's a conversation we need to have openly, because the more we have the conversation openly, then people are willing to share their struggles. People are willing to express how they feel. People are willing to open up about how their mental health has been impacted, the
Mm.
situations you've been through in life, your background, the
Mm.
trauma that you've experienced, life circumstances, the things that are happening today, those envelopes you don't want to open, those bills that are waiting for you to pay, that can impact your mental well-being. But we need to be open to having those conversations. So when we talk about procrastination and how it impacts our mental health, the more that we procrastinate on things that are important, even like procrastinating on just stepping out to pursue your dream, to bring about that sense of freedom, the thing that gives you fulfillment,
Mm.
the more you keep pushing it back because you are scared of taking a step,
Mhm. Mhm.
the more you keep pushing it back, your mental health will be impacted. There's some people that go to work day to day, day in, day out, Monday to Friday, and they absolutely hate their jobs. But they have a dream and they're doing nothing about it.
It's one of those things that, you know what, procrastination ties up with not fulfilling your dream. Is you're waiting and waiting for an inspiration, waiting and waiting for motivation. But who else best can motivate and inspire you? You yourself. It's all within you.
That's it. It's on you. It's on
It's
you.
on you. And because you're waiting, you know there is another step that you need to take.
Mm.
And then you procrastinate. Eventually, you know, and then it affects your mental well-being. It's all tied up, Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Don't you see that?
No, it is. It absolutely is. It absolutely is. And if you're watching this and maybe one of the things you struggle with is procrastination, like take some time after listening to this today and just sit down and think about, write a list of the things that you have procrastinated on, or the decisions that you have decided to put off for another time, for tomorrow. Whenever I think procrastination, I think of the statement of, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll
Mm.
do it next week, I'll do it, I won't do it now, I'll do it at another time. But yet we say that and we don't schedule the next time to do it. If you can do it today, do it today. Stop putting it off. If you can make that phone call, make it today. Don't wait. Don't wait for tomorrow. If you can do it now, do it now. Hi, Ete. Good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Hello. Welcome, Atel. Welcome from all the way from Nigeria.
So, so yeah, if you stop putting off things that you know you need to take care of. For some of us, it might even be that you're putting off a phone call with somebody because you're scared of what's going to happen, or you're scared of their reaction. I remember one time having a session with somebody and she mentioned being afraid to pick up the phone and call somebody that used to be close to her but wasn't as close anymore. And I said to her, I said, God forbid, but imagine you got a phone call today saying that person has passed away. How would you feel? Because that's the reality. We keep putting off stuff because we think we have all the time in the world.
Mm.
You keep putting off looking after your mental health because you think that your body is going to last you forever and ever and ever. But guess what? The reality is your body can crash. I'm not bearing bad news today, but hey, I'm just telling you as it is. It's the reality. Let's not pretend. Let's not hide. It's the reality. You can hide from the mental health conversation, but the more you're hiding, the more it's affecting you. And it's just going on in here, just going round and round and round and round. You're doing nothing about it. Stop running away. Stop running.
It's serious. It's really serious, Elizabeth.
It
Serious.
is.
And over the generations, I'm a baby boomer. I was born in a baby boomer. Uh, would I consider you a millennial?
I don't know if I would class myself as a millennial. I'm before millennials, I think.
And then the Gen X and all. More so the millennials and the Gen X, because they are so driven
Mm,
that they forget that they need to take pauses in their lives.
mm,
And especially those students who are studying, they're very academic, and studying and pushing themselves to get the grades and all, and they forget they need to take some time off, pause, exercise, move, run, jump, dance. But you know what, they turn towards um, substance abuse,
mm,
that
mm.
eventually like go into I think it's weed, um, that is you.
There's different substances out there.
Yeah, there are lots of substances, but I know, I kind of got a lot of education, because I got a lot of education in Phuket, because they openly sell weed.
Oh, wow.
Weed is approved there, and weed, you go into hallucination. So what happens when you hallucinate? It also affects your well-being, your mental well-being. So
Mm,
lots of young people there who are into, all this celebration, but you know what, it is all artificial. When you sit, take some time to rest and speak about what you're going through, that's the best place to be, to speak and to share and to confide in so many. There
mm.
are so many people that you can just speak to,
If you choose to speak.
if you choose to speak.
That's it. And you know what? It's so important to highlight the fact that in life we get a lot of choices. We get a lot of choices, and it's up to us the choices that we choose to make.
Oh yeah,
Procrastination,
it's a
whether
spirit.
you like it or not, you make a choice.
Yeah.
You make a choice.
Ethel is saying procrastination is a spirit that yep, limits you totally,
That's it.
totally, totally,
Mm.
totally. I mean, I totally agree. It limits your greatness, and that limitation is what you have put it upon yourself. So you have the power to remove that limitation.
That's it.
Power is in your hands.
Just by changing one choice, even,
Yes.
you can make a significant difference. But it starts with those choices that you're choosing to make.
Hmm.
When you choose to procrastinate, like what's the thing that's holding you back? Why are you putting off this task that you know you need to address? Why are you pushing it back? Because the reality is that there might come a moment where it becomes urgent.
Mm.
And then you find yourself worried, you find yourself anxious, and you might even find yourself in a position where you can't do anything to change it. And then you find yourself in depression. Like it's a spiral.
Mm.
If you make the wrong choice to start off and you don't check yourself to then change that decision, it can have a ripple effect. And you find yourself in a worse off place than you were before. And the thing is, when we're ill, in most cases it's visible, or like I'm in pain, so we can see something, right? But with mental health,
Silent killer.
it's there's some triggers you have to watch out for.
Mm. Mhm.
There's some things that you need to watch out for. I remember last year, there was an event that myself and Kirubai went for, in different parts of the city.
Oh yes, yes.
But it was a day that had been dedicated to mental health, but for London. I think it was Greater Mental Health London Day or something. And I went for an event in Lambeth, and I remember one of the conversations that was being had. We had a lady who works within mental health in the NHS that came to give a talk. And she mentioned like just how we should look out for different things that will open our eyes to the fact that someone is dealing with mental health struggles. And one of the things she mentioned was like, if the person is not looking after themselves anymore, or you notice that they're slacking in the way that they look after themselves. Maybe they're not cleaning up after themselves anymore. They're not, their house is in a mess. Like, there's so much going on in here that they can't be bothered. That's a trigger. There's something going on that's negatively impacting their mental health.
Yeah. And also personal cleanliness.
That's it. Personal cleanliness.
Yeah. And not eating properly, not taking care of the body, eating properly, proper diet. Yeah,
There's
so many triggers, so many triggers.
there's some things that we go through today that if we put in place measures to look after our mental health, we wouldn't be going through them.
Mm. You know, always lying in bed, sleeping.
I can't be bothered.
Yeah, can't be bothered attitude. Yeah,
Yeah,
so many triggers. And something, there's these triggers might not affect you, but there might be someone in your family or in your circle of influence. If you pick these things up, give a helping hand.
that's it.
Lend a helping hand, and try to encourage the person to seek help. The quicker, the better.
And you know what, Kiribai, we're women of faith, right?
Hmm.
So I'm gonna take a moment to speak to people of faith, because sometimes within our faith circles, we're running away from this conversation.
Mm.
We're running away from this conversation, and we give people, we tell people, you're not praying enough, you don't have enough faith. That's why you're having these mental health issues, or that's why you're feeling depressed. Is there such a thing as a depressed Christian? There is. There is. Hi, Janine. Thanks for joining us. There is such a thing as a depressed Christian. If you don't apply what the word of God says, and you cannot keep saying it's the devil. No, we're giving him too much power. You have a responsibility to look after your mental health.
Hmm. Hmm.
So if you approach that as a person of faith, what do you need to be doing to look after your mental health? The Bible talks about, like, do not worry, be anxious for nothing, cast all your cares unto him. Sometimes, like, we're going through depression because we are so focused on ourselves. We're so focused on the problem that is in front of us. And sometimes we go into denial mode because we're trying to be super Christians. So we don't want to acknowledge, we don't want to accept that this is the reality. But the truth is, there are Christians who are struggling with mental health, and they're not speaking up. They're not speaking up because they will be seen as people who don't have faith. They will be seen as people who are not praying enough. They will be seen as people who are not, activating the word of God in their lives. But we do, as Christians, as a person of faith, our place is not to shun them. Our place is to hold their hands and pull them up, to help them. That's our place. You have a responsibility to look after your own mental health, but you need to be your brother's keeper too. Be your sister's keeper. I mentioned earlier on about my neighbor, and one of the things that brought it to light for me very significantly that she had mental health struggles was something that happened one day. Something happened, and one of my neighbors contacted me and said, this is what happened. And I said, I'm going to go check in on her to make sure she's okay. And I went to check in on her. and she wasn't okay. And thankfully for me, she was willing to have a conversation. And that day, I gave like, I think it was about 3 hours worth of a conversation that I gave her. She just needed, at the end of our conversation, she was a lot better. Had the struggles disappeared? No, they were still there. But it eased it in that moment. It eased the pain that she was experiencing in her mind in that moment. So if you are somebody who's dealing with mental health struggles, find somebody you can confide in, somebody you can talk to. Seek help from a therapist. Go get counseling. There is no shame in getting counseling.
Well, your GP could refer you to someone you can speak to, a counselor.
Well,
But
that's if you're in the UK, Kirubai.
yeah, that's if you're in the UK, your GP can signpost you to a counselor or a mental health nurse or someone you can speak to. Yeah.
And there's organizations out there,
Mm-hmm.
organizations like Mind.
Yes.
There's organizations that are really like they are there to help with mental health.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometime last year, I remember my daughter's school, they were having conversations. So Mind comes into the school, Mind, the organization, comes into the school, and they have conversations. Sometimes they invite parents in, and they'll do a talk on looking after your child's mental health. And they also look out for children. And if teachers or parents think that their child is struggling, Mind is there to assist, because the school has that relationship with them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for me, that's such a blessing to know that that's even there in the school that my daughter goes to. I don't know if it's available in every school, but it's there. Now, a lot of you will know I'm originally from Uganda, and this mental health conversation, like it takes a different spin when it comes to a place like Uganda. Because I remember back in the day when we would see somebody who has, like, they're on the extreme end of mental health problems, we used to like laugh at them and call them a madman, a mad woman. And I remember back in the day, and it probably still happens, but it's very much shunned upon. This person's having mental health issues. There's one famous hospital in Uganda that deals with mental health. And so someone can be on like one end of the country. When they realize you're dealing with mental health struggles, they'll be like, if they can get you to the hospital, they'll get you to that hospital. But before they get to the hospital, what about the people around? Communities. We need to empower people within communities to be able to, whether it's being mental health champions. I know that's something that here in London they're trying to do, is have mental health champions, people in the community that can champion those conversations. But one thing that saddens me, like when I think about Uganda, nowadays you hear a lot more about young people, kids in schools committing suicide.
Mm-hmm.
You hear people like, you hear that so and so has attacked their kid, they've killed their kids, they've killed their spouse, they've killed, you hear it here in the Western world as well. But that's a mental health problem too.
I suppose it's Uganda, Malaysia considered third world countries. It's the awareness is not as advanced as the UK, and it's now only picking up. They see a pattern with the young people and the elderly, and with Alzheimer's and dementia. These things with the elderly, and also with young people being depressed. Depression is so evident now, even in Malaysia.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not something that we can just pray away.
Mm-hmm.
For those of us that are people of faith, it's not just something we can pray away. It's something that we have to, there's some physical actions that you must do. There's some things that you can do beyond just prayer that will help you with your mental health. And one of them is just even something as simple as resting. We talked about taking a pause, taking time to rest. Resting from the busyness of life, resting from your busy schedule, it can work wonders for your mental health. So if you find that you're someone who's always up and about, you're never taking time to rest, slow down. Slow
And
down.
and if you're all, sometimes you're high, sometimes you feel low, sometimes high, and sometimes you feel low, then it's something that you need to look into, because you might be having a spectrum of bipolar.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
She said it, not me. Like, she said it.
And it's and it can be it can be managed, because I people who are very hyper, and then if they feel very depressed, they feel very sad. So
Mm.
there is some emotions, there's some chemistry, chemical imbalance that's going on. So something that you have to look into. Look into it. I'm not saying everybody is bipolar, please, but I'm just saying that you something that you need to look into before
Mm.
it gets worse.
Yeah. And you know what? Some issues that we have might not necessarily need like medication.
Mm,
For some things, it's physical care, it's looking after yourself, it's exercising self-care, it's taking time to journal. I remember one time, this was a couple of years ago, one of the young ladies I mentored, she called me and she was very hysterical on the phone. She was busting out, she was in tears, she was crying, and she was like, I can't get a grip of things. And I was like, wait, it was a Sunday evening, we had just been to church that day, she seemed okay. But that evening she calls me and she's very hysterical. And I say to her, I said, get off the phone and take some time to just be still. Like, play some quiet music that allows you to slow down, because right now your mind is trying to process things too fast. And you're getting very hysterical because you can't get a grip. You can't, it's going faster than you.
mm.
So I told her, take some time to slow down. And thankfully she listened. And she messaged me a couple of hours later. She said, thank you, it helped. But she just needed to slow down. I said, slow down, listen to some slow music, and get a notepad. Write down your thoughts. Journaling. Just write down the things that are going on in your mind. Get them out of here. Get them out of here. Because it's mental health is to do with your mind. But it's going to impact every area of your life. If your mental health is not where it needs to be, it's going to impact every area of your life. It will impact your relationships. It will impact your, personal development.
Mhm.
It will impact your job, your career, your business, whatever it is you're doing. It will impact your spiritual life. It
Yep.
will impact you in ways that you never even imagined. And sometimes people who are struggling with their mental health end up isolating themselves. And if you
Yes.
have people in your life
Yeah.
who, they used to be, part of the circle, part of the crowd, and they've all of a sudden gone into
Dropped
a
out.
shell,
Mm.
reach out to them. Just
Yeah.
say, I just wanted to check in on you. Just want to see how you're doing.
Actually, isolation is one of the biggest telltales.
Thank you, Ethel. See, listening to worship music, it absolutely helps.
Yeah.
It does wonders for me. And one of the things I used to do, and I don't do it as often now, but before I went to bed, I would just play some worship music. You know, there's a guy on YouTube, Dappy Keys or Dappity Keys, and he's got some amazing instrumentals, worship instrumentals. And just listening to one of those before you go to bed just helps you to slow down from the busyness of your day. It just helps
Unwind.
you slow down. Exactly. Unwind.
You know, a- I think we are also, in a way affected by, I'm bringing social media here again, and looking at other people, their progress and their success. You would, it eventually you feel depressed. What's happening? That nothing's happening with you, and that can affect your mental health.
It can. It
TikTok,
can.
Instagram, and whatever. No, there's so many other platforms these days, and you're always looking at people, and constantly scrolling is also can be detrimental to your mental health.
Yep. Kids in schools spending hours on social media,
Hmm.
scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. That's a mental health problem waiting to happen.
Hmm. You're comparing with others. Oh, they have it, I don't have it. You're comparing, you're trying to put yourself in that position. Sometimes you force yourself, oh, I want what they have, and then sometimes you work yourself to the bone, and then you have a burnout.
Yeah. And burnout is real. Like, I was earlier on, I addressed like people of faith. Now, I think I've mentioned this here before, but a few years ago, I went to TDJ's Pastors and Leaders Conference. And that conference, like it really stood out for me. And one of the reasons why it stood out was one of the evenings, there was a whole session dedicated to talking about serving God while suffering. And on this panel, they had a panel of speakers for this conversation, and each of them had a story. They had a story of things that they had been through. And as they went through their stories, as they narrated their different stories, across the room, thousands of people, leaders, pastors, were bursting out in tears.
Mm.
Boxes of tissues were being passed around the room. Now, people in leadership sometimes don't necessarily have people they confide in. Sometimes they don't share their problems.
It's a sign of weakness,
It's a sign of weakness.
Yeah.
But actually, vulnerability can be a good thing in leadership. It's about how you wear it. It can be a good thing because it helps people to know they can relate to you.
Mm.
Because just like the Bible says that Jesus suffered like we are suffering, like he went through it. He's carried his cross. And these pastors, like, they really spoke from their hearts. And immediately they finished, like, the floor was open for questions. There was a long line of people waiting to ask
Wow.
questions. But
Wow.
one of the first people that came and asked a question, I don't even know if it was a question or if it was a statement, but like this person was like, in the space of, I think they said 3-4 years, they lost about 10 close people.
Mm.
And they were like, that was the hardest time of my life. Like, how do you recover from that as a leader?
Mm.
Mental health does not know title.
Mhm.
It does not know your title. So if you don't address any mental health struggles you're dealing with, regardless of whether you're a person in a senior position or a person at the bottom of the food chain, either way, your mental health can be impacted. And it's not even about having all the money in the world, because you see people who have loads of money and they're committing suicide, they're taking their own lives, they're taking the lives of others. So this thing is not, it's not, you can't buy mental health. Like, you have to take responsibility of your mental health and look after it, whatever it is that you need to do. And it's so easy to look at others and say this is what they need to do, but look at yourself, address yourself, fight for yourself before you go and fight for others. Speak up, confide, find people to confide in, do journaling, practice gratitude. That does wonders for your mental well-being. You've got to find, there's something I like saying: do things you love with people you love. That will help you. Find the things that are going to work for you and capitalize on those things. Like, intentionally schedule them into your schedule.
Just wanted to add something. A lot of people have mental breakdown or mental breakdown because of failure. Failure of, failure, loss of a loved one, or fear of failure, perfectionism. All these things are very temporal, but your mental health is, it's permanent. It's something that is part of your life. These things you can overcome. Some of these things I've shared now, but do not fear anything in life, because every fear that you go through has a remedy. There is a way out.
Every fear has a remedy.
So there is a way out from this. You have an escape. The escape route is, do not procrastinate, but take action.
That's it. Stop putting things off. Make that phone call that you need to make. Take that step you need to take. Start journaling. You've been talking about it. Start doing it. One of the, and there's apps out there as well that can help us with our mental health. So there's resources, because this conversation has become more outspoken now. There's a lot of resources out there that can help you with your mental health, that can help your children with their mental health, that can help your parents with their mental health. Let's not pretend that we don't go through mental health struggles. Let's not pretend. We need to have the conversation. We need to talk about it. We need to talk to our young people about it. We need to help them so that they can have coping mechanisms. We need to decide what coping mechanisms work for us when it comes to mental health. Kirubai mentioned about the different struggles that you can go through. Life happens. That's the reality. Life happens. And you will not always be in control of every single scenario. But you can control how you react to the scenarios. You can control what goes in here and comes out.
You are the filter.
You can control what goes in here and comes out.
You got to filter.
The Bible talks about guarding your mind. Guarding your heart,
scripture.
guarding your mind. Looking after your mental health involves guarding your mind. And so sometimes it means putting in place boundaries. We don't always like them, but sometimes it means you need to put in place some boundaries. You need to step out of some environments. You need to stay away from some people. I'm not saying that, go and burn all the bridges and delete them from your life. But I'm saying you need to look at you. and see what's affecting you, what's impacting you negatively. What spaces do you need to avoid? What spaces do you need to get into? Because all of these things are going to affect you. Now, procrastination, it will negatively impact your mental health. It will, like, there's no question about it. It will negatively impact your mental health. And once your mental health is negatively impacted, the rest of your life is as well. Because they're all intertwined.
Mm.
So whatever you've been procrastinating on, like Coach Kirubai said, it's time for action. It's time for you to take action. Get uncomfortable and take action. Get uncomfortable and do something about it. Or like I like to say, bust a move. Do something. Right, Kirubai, I think that's the end of the conversation. Otherwise, we can keep going.
Yeah. Now, I just wanted to encourage someone with the 5-minute rule. If you are struggling with taking action, keep aside just 5 minutes to do a task or even to make a call. Just 5 minutes a day or 5 minutes in intervals of times to do, especially if you're doing a task that you don't want to approach,
Mm.
but taking the taking the phone and making that call, give yourself just 5 minutes. You might have one, two, three rings and they might not pick up, but it's okay. Just try it later. But this 5-minute rule that I was reading about, it actually also helped me understand certain personal fears that I don't like to approach. But you
Mm.
know what? If I can start the first 5 minutes, and then it might continue, and then you stop. If you can't, then you stop. But taking that first action, the first step to action. But if you are going through some serious problems in your headspace, pick up that phone and call your your doctor or your GP or your some support system.
We all need a support system.
Yeah, some support system to just talk. Somebody who will not judge you, but just talk. It's in your hands. Elizabeth, before we close this conversation, you got something to share, no?
I
About
have
kingdom.
indeed. I
Yeah,
have
let's
indeed.
not
I
forget
have.
that. Yeah.
No, do you know what? It was never my intention to forget it. Don't worry. I was ready. I was ready. So, we have an amazing event coming up. We are celebrating 5 years of the Kingdompreneurs Summit. So, on the 8th of June, let me see if I can bring the flyer up. So, on the 8th of June, we are coming together in the city of London. We've got some amazing speakers lined up. I'm not even going to tell you about them, but you can go and Google them, or you can go and Google Kingdompreneurs Summit and you will get the information. But we have this event coming up on 8th of June. It's going to be in the city of London. It's for Christians who are passionate about the marketplace, whether you're a business owner, whether you're a professional, you're a consultant, coach, author, whatever it is. And when I say it's for Christians, like if you're not a Christian and you want to come, like we're not doing any Christian checks at the door, so feel free. You are welcome. You are welcome to come. We're going to have a time of worship, a time of learning, being equipped. It's not church. We're not doing church. This is a time of equipping so we can go out and take the marketplace, because it's time for us to scale up in our businesses, to scale up in our careers, to scale up in our finances, scale up in our health, in our relationships, to scale up in every aspect, because God has not called us for some small-minded living. He has called us for more than that. So register today and join us for the Kingdompreneurs Summit. Now, this week, for Mental Health Awareness Week, we have a special offer going on where we are giving you 25% off. 25%. When Tunji said 25%, I was like, what? But the husband said 25%, and I agreed. So 25% off for you to join us for the Kingdompreneur Summit. Now I'm going to share the link if I can get it on here. I will share the link. I think it's this one, but let me get it here in a different way as well. So you need to come and be part of this. And one of the reasons, we've been talking about mental health and being part of
A community.
a community can make a difference. Being part of a community can make a difference. You need to find what that community is for you. Kingdompreneurs is a great community to be part of. I'm biased, but after like doing a couple of years in business, you start to realize that it can be a lonely place. So having the right community, a community of people that you share the same faith, right? You can have faith-based discussions around your business, around your career. Talk about God's plan, God's intention, and how He has called us, and how He has set us apart, and how He has anointed us and graced us for the marketplace, because you are anointed for the marketplace. So join us on 8th of June. Now, if you are not in the UK, but you know people in the UK, share the link, or you can go on my page and you will find the information there, and you can help us reshare it or tag somebody who is in the UK so that they can see it and they can join us. We have amazing speakers who are experts in their field. So it's going to be a great time. I'm excited. And I know Kiruba is excited as well.
Yes, I will be there.
So make sure you're there. This collaboration that you see here, Kingdompreneur Summit, that's when we first met physically, and I was like, oh, this is that woman I've been seeing on Facebook.
Likewise, and then the rest is history.
There you go. So join us for the Kingdompreneur Summit. But thank you to everyone who joined the conversation today. We will be back next Tuesday. If there is somebody in your world that needs to hear this conversation, share it. Send them the link. The conversation is on YouTube, it's on Facebook, it's on LinkedIn, it's there. Go share it with them. You just never know. It might be the thing that they need to hear to provoke them to pick up the phone and seek help. No more procrastination. So don't say, I'll share it in an hour, I'll share it tomorrow. Share it immediately we finish. Share it.
Do it now.
Share it. I think that's it for today, Kiruba, unless you've got anything else to say.
No, that's right. We have nothing else to say. I think we have said a lot of things today, and even I personally have to reflect on certain things. And I'll leave you all with saying goodbye and have a good evening to all who have watched. Good evening to you, Elizabeth. Thank you for being collaborative in confidence culture conversations, and we thank God for it.
Awesome. Ethel, thank you for taking action and sharing the video. I just got the notification. Thank you for taking action. Awesome. Well, ladies, gentlemen, it's been great. We'll be back next week, Tuesday. If part of what we've shared today has touched a spot for you and you want to speak to either one of us, please feel free to reach out to us. We are available to talk. So please send us a message, and we'll be able to reach out to you and see how we can serve you. Awesome. Have a lovely, lovely rest of the day. God bless you.
God bless you.